Good evening and welcome to TV47 Prime. Now tonight we unpack the President's State of the Nation address and bring you the other major stories shaping the day. My name is Peter Kamau. Our sign interpreter is Catherine Simaloi. Let's get started. President William Ruto says his administration has completed the difficult task of stabilizing Kenya's economy and is now shifting its attention to the country's next chapter of economic transformation. In a special national address, the president said the government's first term has been defined by efforts to restore fiscal discipline, strengthen the country's economic fundamentals, and shield Kenyans from the impact of both domestic and global economic pressures. Ruto argues that the reforms implemented over the past 4 years have helped restore macroeconomic stability, rebuild investor confidence, and create an environment capable of supporting long-term economic growth.
According to the Working Group on Kenya's transition to First World status, the plan to developing a new vision for Kenya will be driven by 3 pillars. The 3 being agricultural productivity, high value and agro-processing, industrialization through intensive manufacturing for regional exports and technology and innovation economy. The working group is proposing for the government to develop supportive policies and incentivize the private sector to play a central role in transformation. The Professor Nyong'o-led team is also proposing ways to achieve the first world nation based on the pillars by boosting productivity through better seeds, irrigation, and research, and expand extension services. Support farmers through incentive for productivity and removal of policy barriers has also been highlighted as part of the plan. On the transformation of manufacturing, the group proposes building of competitive industries and encouraging private investment, affordable productive credit, and investment in technology and infrastructure. On innovation, research, and skills, as well as linkages to universities with industry, are among the ways to transformation proposed as the country moves to expand technology-driven production and increased high-value exports. And with the proposed priority of agriculture, industry and technology, the working group says this will be driven by supported infrastructure and innovation. The technology pillar will also accelerate digital transformation, invest in AI and innovation, strengthen skills and research, and expand innovation funding. These, the group says, will be enabled by merit-based public service, investment in people, building of productive infrastructure, and strengthening of financial systems and deepened devolution.
Development, therefore, is not simply a policy preference of those who govern. It is a constitutional imperative for the governed. While the Constitution's preamble commits us to build a nation founded on human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law, Article 10 of our Constitution speaks to patriotism, integrity, accountability, and sustainable development as among our highest national
The new Vision
values.
2060 seeks to replace Vision 2030, which is almost lapsing. The vision is aimed at addressing inconsistent development with limit progress disrupted by political and economic crises where reforms are rarely sustained. It has also been informed by a strong and potential but weak implementation where transformation remains elusive. Kenya has had persistent challenges such as poverty, disease, and inequality, with more investment in health and education which is needed. President William Ruto says this is the way to first world ambition, which will transform Kenya into a developed economy and requires bold reforms and strong leadership.
Such a development charter will succeed when anchored on strong institutions, institutions that enable rather than obstruct, that solve problems rather than multiply, that encourage enterprise rather than frustrate, and that make it easier for people to work, invest, innovate, build, and create wealth.
Kenya is picking lessons from South Korea, Singapore, and China, which transformed rapidly. The country boasts to have once led Africa in growth and stability and a strong foundation for transformation.
Still on the same story, President William Ruto has outlined the rationale behind the formation of a high-level advisory team tasked with charting Kenya's development beyond Vision 2030, saying the country must begin laying the groundwork for its next long-term national blueprint. Speaking during a special national address, the president said the panel of experts was constituted to generate fresh ideas and provide an evidence-based foundation for a broad national dialogue on Kenya's future development priorities. Ruto noted that with Vision 2030 nearing the end of its implementation period, the country has reached a critical moment that requires a new strategic framework to guide economic growth, governance, and social transformation in the decades ahead. He said the proposed roadmap will be anchored on the Constitution and shaped through inclusive public engagement, with expert recommendations serving as a starting point for developing Kenya's next long-term national development agenda.
Together, we must ask ourselves what these constitutional guarantees should mean in practice. What should an education system worthy of our constitutional promise look like? What should define accessible and adequate housing for every Kenyan? What kind of health system is required to secure the highest attainable standard of health as is provided for in the Constitution? How do we ensure that no Kenyan experiences the indignity of hunger and that every family has access to adequate food of acceptable quality? How do we guarantee universal access to clean and safe water, meaningful social protection, and the opportunity for every citizen to live a life of dignity? Above all, what measurable outcomes should demonstrate that we are truly giving practical effect to these economic and social rights as contained in our Constitution? Equally, we have not defined with sufficient clarity what patriotism, equality, social justice, and sustainable development should demand of us as government, as institutions, leaders, or citizens. Yet, these constitutional aspirations cannot fulfill themselves. We must, as a nation, collectively define the standards by which they should be measured and establish a common national development charter for their realization. Until we do so, our development and progress will remain subject to the ebb and flow of political expediency, changing priorities, competing interpretations, and fluid guesswork. A national development charter for the attainment of these noble constitutional imperatives cannot be designed by politicians alone, nor by any single institution, profession, or interest group. It must be shaped by the people of Kenya themselves through an open, inclusive, and honest national conversation.
The ongoing standoff between healthcare workers, the national government, and county governments has left patients in limbo following the official commencement of the nationwide strike on Wednesday. The industrial action has crippled healthcare services in public hospitals across the country, with healthcare workers accusing the government of failing to honor the 2017 bargaining agreement.
For the second consecutive day, public hospitals across the country have remained without healthcare workers, forcing some patients to return home while others seek treatment at private health facilities. The dispute between healthcare workers and the government dates back to 2013, when the union representing the workers was established. This eventually led to the signing of a collective bargaining agreement (CBA) in 2017. However, according to union leaders, the agreement has not been fully implemented to date.
We have given it our all, but it's unfortunate that they are not listening to us, and that's why this is the last option that we had to take. But we have been negotiating with them, but they have decided just to decline our demands, and they have decided just to ignore us, and that is why we have ended up in this.
Among the key demands contained in the agreement are salary increments, payment of risk and hardship allowances, promotions, and the permanent employment of universal health coverage UHC healthcare workers across all 47 counties.
It is good to clear that we started negotiating for a collective bargaining agreement in 2013, immediately after registration of the union. We negotiated for a CBA that did not see the light of the day because the government became undermined.
I want also to report that the strike has started on very well. It is very successful, and we are going to be having demonstration across the regions. We will be organizing for one coast region, Nairobi, Western, Rift Valley. We'll be doing like that as time goes by. Lakini sisi tuko tayari kukaa nje mpaka siku ile haya mambo yatatekelezwa.
The healthcare workers have accused county governments of being the biggest obstacle to the effective implementation of devolved healthcare services.
Mkataba wa kurejea kazini, mkataba wa kufanya kazi wa wauguzi. Tuko na wauguzi wenzetu ambao ni wa Kisii, ambao 46 ambao waliweza kutolewa nje mwaka wa 2021 na hawajai kurejeshwa kazini, hawajai kupokelewa kule Kisii bado.
Fight for yourselves. What you do, fight and redeem your dignity. If you backtrack this time, nobody will respect you in Kenya.
As the standoff continues to intensify, patients in various parts of the country continue to suffer as they struggle to access healthcare services at public hospitals. At Embo Level 5 Hospital, for instance, hospital beds remain empty as patients arriving at the facility are forced to leave without receiving medical attention.
Nimekuja hapa Level 5 kuleta mtoto wangu, lakini vile tumeingia tumekuta hata hakuna madaktari, risiti tumechukua, lakini hata ukiingia hakuna daktari anakushughulikia. Ndio sasa tukarudi nyumbani.
Nasi sawako na wewe siona dokta, ni lazima upitirie kwa nasa ama clinic officer. So nimerudi nyumbani, sijasaidika. Hii serikali ya county ya Embu imeshindwa na kazi kabisa.
Some patients at the hospital have blamed the Embu County government for what they describe as negligence in resolving the dispute. In Samburu County, the situation is no different, with patients continuing to seek medical services elsewhere as the strike persists. Meanwhile, the Council of Governors has threatened to take legal action against the striking healthcare workers, arguing that the industrial action has disrupted the provision of healthcare services.
Fanyeni mgomo, hatujawafuta, wacheni mahakama iweze kuamua. Mkiamua mnataka kuendelea na mgomo na mahakama imewaambia muregee, sheria itafuata kazi. Kama mahakama imewaambia regeeni na mkiregea kazini, milango yako wazi, mupangiwe kazi, muweze kufanya na wale ambao kwamba watakuwa ni wapya tayari washaweza kuingia.
The chairperson of the Council of Governors Health Committee, who is also the governor of Mombasa County, Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir, has directed the Public Service Board PSB to recruit 573 additional healthcare workers to bridge the gap created by the 1,013 workers currently participating in the strike.
Former National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u has accused President William Ruto of undermining state institutions and micromanaging government operations, saying the trend has created fear among public officials. Chichi Josephine now reports.
Speaking publicly for the first time since leaving office in 2024 during a development cooperation conference in Sweden, former Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u accused President William Ruto's administration of undermining independent institutions and weakening their integrity.
Right now, the current president overruns all the institutions. And that is why everybody in those institutions will have to conform for fear.
Ndung'u said he firmly refused to participate in corrupt government dealings throughout his 22-month tenure, maintaining that institutional corruption distorts the economy and undermines public confidence.
I refuse to do deals in the Ministry of Finance. I can't do deals. I know. It follows you to your grave. It doesn't go away with the regime. Now, it's only capacity at the individual level and the institutional level that can give you that courage to say no, because you know it will follow you. Regimes change and rules of the game change.
He also said he witnessed former public officials implicated in corruption continue to face investigations and court battles over alleged financial misconduct years after leaving office.
By the way, there are people who are my friends that were caught up in some of those things, including in the central bank. And even by the time they died, they were still being followed by those things. The cases were not concluded because it becomes a major punishment. And that is one of the biggest lessons. Actually, there are some people who actually argue that I would not have succeeded with M-Pesa, for example, if it was a different regime. And I've seen it. There is a Minister of Finance who even almost stopped M-Pesa. It's only that I reminded him that the central bank is independent and you cannot direct the governor of the central bank.
Following his departure in July 2024 after President William Ruto dissolved the cabinet, Ndung'u said his handover dossier highlighted a broken public finance system that was hemorrhaging taxpayers' money through the payment of ghost workers. Chichi Josephine, TV47.
The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has dismissed claims that it plans to hold the airing and distribution of campaign advertisements ahead of the 2027 general election. The commission says it has not submitted any proposal to Parliament seeking to suspend or restrict election campaign advertisements. Paul Kirobi reports on the proposed elections law, which some Kenyans mistakenly believe seeks to halt campaign advertising.
All the way straight upwards.
The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has dismissed claims circulating on social media alleging that it plans to stop the live broadcast of election results and revert to a manual results transmission process. The Commission chairperson, Erastus Ethekon, has assured Kenyans that media houses will remain free to cover and broadcast the electoral process without restrictions.
And we signed an MOU in front of the media that, among other things, enables us to collaborate and partner with the media, for the media to scrutinize, for the media to work with us to ensure that we educate and inform Kenyans on all the processes that we are undertaking as a commission, including the live streaming of our election processes.
IEBC says sections of the media misinterpreted the proposed Elections Amendment Bill of 2026. According to the Commission, the bill does not seek to amend Section 44 of the Elections Act, which provides for the electronic transmission of election results. Instead, the proposed law introduces an alternative mechanism for transmitting results only in areas where there is a complete absence of a 3G network or any reliable communication infrastructure. The Commission says the amendments are intended to align the law with the Supreme Court's rulings arising from petitions filed after the 2017 presidential election. Speaking during a stakeholder engagement on campaign financing, IEBC chairperson Erastus Ethekon also announced that the Commission will next month publish campaign spending limits for candidates seeking various elective positions through a gazette notice. While concerns have been raised over whether the Commission will adapt the proposed limits under the Elections Campaign Financing Act of 2013, Ethekon said public views collected during the ongoing consultations will be considered before the final gazette notice is issued. The IEBC has been conducting public participation across the country as it seeks to finalize campaign financing regulations ahead of the 2027 general election.
Wiper Patriotic Front leader Kalonzo Musyoka has dismissed claims that he could join forces with President William Ruto ahead of the 2027 general election, insisting that the two will only meet at the ballot. Speaking after a meeting with members of the Linda Mwananchi movement, Kalonzo said there was no possibility of teaming up with the president despite what he claimed were repeated attempts to court him. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku has the details.
after hours of speculations fueled by out-of-context videos, photos, and digitally manipulated graphics circulating on social media, alleging that Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka had held a meeting with President William Ruto.
Asante sana, karibu, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has come out strongly dismissing any possibility of working with President William Ruto ahead of 2027 general election. Instead, Kalonzo says the two will face each other at the ballot, accusing the government of orchestrating what he termed as dirty tricks aimed at creating divisions within the opposition.
I want to tell Mr. William Ruto, please stop. Stop imagining that one Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka can ever join you. We'll meet at the ballot. We will have that conversation at the ballot on the 10th of August next year, God willing. Correct. We pray to God that He gives you good health, He gives us good health, tukutane pale, so we can now consolidate our democracy. Amen. And do away with this pretense.
Speaking during a meeting with Linda Mwananchi faction led by Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna alongside Embakasi East MP Babu Owino and other opposition leaders, Kalonzo maintained that they remain firmly committed to the United Alternative Government coalition. He said consultations are ongoing to build a formidable coalition that will challenge President William Ruto in the 2027 general election.
Ukiwinda hamwezi kupitia njia moja kama ni adui sampli hii ya William Ruto. Napitia routine na ile ingine, but we want to assure Kenyans that we are going to unite. We have no option. All of us who love this country so dearly, who have sacrificed so much that this country can be a true democracy, not a dictatorship, not a kleptocracy, not a gangster regime, not a gangsterism, which is what it is today.
We must preach the unity of the opposition, and it's a unity that is based on certain values, and I'm coming to that as our second agenda here today, is to try to build consensus amongst the leadership of the opposition as to what they view is important to the people of Kenya at this particular moment in time. Your Excellency, increasingly we hear from young people especially that democratic governance and freedoms and the values that are expressed in our constitution are better than these shiny things that we see, because they believe roads can be built by anyone, but only a democrat will protect the freedoms and rights.
The Linda Mwananchi faction also reaffirmed its commitment to a united opposition front. This as Kalonzo further revealed that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance will hold a meeting on Monday to chart the coalition's next course of action, while inviting members of the Linda Mwananchi faction to join discussions once they conclude their registration process.
Your Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, for Kenyans to get jobs, opposition must be united. For Kenyans, for high cost of living to be lowered or to go down, then opposition must be united. For taxes to be lowered, opposition must be united. We don't have an option.
He's actually daydreaming. Kenyans are so determined that we give them the change that they want. And as Linda Mwananchi and the United Alternative Government, we will keep working together on the basis of shared values, shared democratic values, to bring the change that this country so desperately desires.
Also what we need, how to change. So let's move on that. Our party leader was subjected to some funny interview. We see a plan. So this time around, when we saw those clips, we are shocked. Tunaona last time ulichezwa. This time, Your Excellency, this is your only bullet in
You have also come kulinda Kalonzo.
Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth Mutuku, for that report. Now, questions are mounting over the state of relations at the heart of Kenya's executive after President William Ruto held a late-night meeting with Deputy President Kithure Kindiki at State House. While the meeting was presented as a show of unity, political observers are scrutinizing what was shared and what was left unsaid. Images of the meeting were released only by the Deputy President, with State House remaining silent, adding fresh intrigue to an already heated debate over reports of shifting power dynamics within government. Mike Kagongo unpacks the political signals.
A quiet meeting held behind closed doors is now dominating Kenya's political conversation. Late Wednesday night, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki released photographs showing himself in an extended one-on-one meeting with President William Ruto at State House in Nairobi. The images were posted without a caption, leaving Kenyans to draw their own conclusions. The timing of the meeting immediately attracted attention. For days, speculation had swirled over an alleged cooling of relations between the president and his deputy, following reports that some coordination functions had been transferred from the deputy president's office to the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi. Kindiki, however, dismissed the reports as fake news.
And so what Ruto has done is to finish Kindiki politically. Fine, he has earned the title, Your Excellency, and, Deputy President, but he has finished him politically.
Even after the release of the photographs, one detail has continued to fuel a political debate. The images were shared only through Kindiki's official social media platforms, while State House and the presidency neither published the photographs nor issued a statement explaining the purpose of the meeting or what was discussed.
And there is an advantage to that in most controversial times, like now, when the country is polarized between those who want Ruto to have 10 years and those who cannot wait for 10th of August 2027, then where is Kindiki in this? He seems squarely in Ruto's corner. And that now turns him more into a Kamau than into a Kibaki.
To supporters, the photographs portray a leadership team working in close consultation. Critics, however, argue that the absence of an official communication from the presidency leaves room for continued speculation over the state of relations within the executive.
He has actually become the #1 spokesperson on the government's development agenda and plans.
He has clearly defined in very uncertain times who is a deputy president, because he has shown he's an assistant, he's a principal assistant to the president.
One wasn't expecting to see anything much out of Professor Kindiki. He came as a lightweight. He still remains as a lightweight. He spent his time around Gachagua, trying to undo what Gachagua is doing. The difference is that Gachagua is fairly entrenched politically.
The meeting also came just hours before President William Ruto's highly anticipated national address on Kenya's future, further heightening public interest on what may have been discussed. The developments come as Professor Kindiki intensifies his political engagements in his Mount Kenya East stronghold. In recent weeks, the Deputy President has made frequent visits to Tharaka Nithi and neighboring Meru County, meeting grassroots leaders, launching development projects, and reinforcing his political presence in a region widely regarded as his traditional support base.
Kindiki has been able to balance two things. He's been able to play politics benefiting the mountain without necessarily seeming to do it.
As Nelson Mandela once told us, all politics is local. If you are not local in your politics, then you are totally irrelevant.
The increased engagements have drawn attention at a time when succession politics and regional influence within the Kenya Kwanza coalition are increasingly shaping political discourse ahead of the 2027 general election.
Kiti ya naibu wa rais iwezi
tunatoka, hatuwezi nyang'anywa na mtu yoyote. Kiti ya naibu ya rais ambao Profesa Kithure Kindiki amekalia, nobody can touch us.
Whether Wednesday night's meeting was a routine government business or a calculated effort to dispel growing political speculation remains unclear. With neither State House nor the Deputy President's office providing an official account of the meeting, questions over the dynamics at the highest levels of the government continue to linger. For now, the images may have projected unity between the country's two top leaders, but without an official explanation of what transpired behind the closed doors, Kenya's political class is likely to continue reading between the lines. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike Kagwango, for that report. Now, don't go too far. We'll take a quick commercial break and return with more news.
We love to share our cultures, and the one thing that unites us all, that celebrates precious moments, nurtures our Kenyan spirit, welcomes, and even inspires. Our language does all of this and more. The more the milk, the better the chai. Chai kweli in a Brookside Dairy Best.
Ukienda kwa duka tu, ukienda kwa supa tu, kwa afya bora ya jamii, ungapoendelea tu.
Guys, hamwezeni wait?
Bei ya Lea Premium, si complicated. Kupika Lea Premium, si complicated. Unabai, unapika, unashiba.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
Get affordable monthly TV packages from Azam TV today. From kids shows, African and international movies, sports, local and international, breaking news, documentaries, telenovelas, and many more. Our monthly packages are 400 Kenyan shillings, 950 Kenyan shillings, or 1,500 Kenyan shillings only. Call us today on 0709 844 000.
Welcome back. You're watching TV47 Prime. Now, former Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa has officially resigned from the United Democratic Alliance, citing systematic humiliation and frustration over her 2027 Kilifi gubernatorial ambitions. Speaking at her Kakuyuni home, a tearful Jumwa said her appeals to President William Ruto went unanswered. She maintained that she remains determined to contest the Kilifi governorship in the 2027 general election.
Reflection, heartfelt prayer, and countless consultations with the people I serve, I have made one of the most difficult decisions of my political life. From today, Aisha Jumwa Karisa Katana is no longer a member of the United Democratic Alliance, UDA. This decision is not an act of anger. It is an act of conscience. It is a decision born out of love for Kilifi, faith in its people, and unshakable belief that our county deserves leadership that listens, serves, and delivers.
Elsewhere, human rights activists are calling for the immediate release of Ugandan opposition leader Kizza Besigye following his arrest in Nairobi and continued detention in Uganda. The calls come amid reports that Besigye's health has deteriorated after he reportedly collapsed during a high court session in Kampala while attending the hearing of his treason case. He was rushed to Mulago National Referral Hospital for treatment, raising fresh concerns over his health and the medical care he is receiving while in state custody. Activists are urging regional and national human rights bodies to intervene and secure his release.
The crisis reaches as Coachfield Tips pointed yesterday, July 29th, when 70-year-old Dr. Kizza Besigye collapsed into a state of unconsciousness inside a forfeit cage at a high court in Kampala. Eyewitness, a legal account described a shocking, frail state of deterioration, with Dr. Besigye exhibiting yellowing eyes, labored breathing, and gasping for air.
The current life-threatening hospitalization of Dr. Kizza Besigye is the direct result of lawless cross-border security operation executed in absolute violation of territorial sovereignty and international law.
It's time for business news. The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KNCCI, has officially launched the Africa Commerce and Industry Summit, ACIS 2026, aimed at accelerating regional trade and cross-border investment under the African Continental Free Trade Area framework. Scheduled for October 14th to 16th at Nairobi's Uhuru Gardens, the landmark event is expected to bring together more than 5,000 delegates from over 50 countries. Designed as a dynamic marketplace, the summit will feature executive B2B roundtables, investment deal rooms, and sector-specific exhibitions. KNCCI says the summit will strengthen commercial partnerships, unlock bankable investment opportunities, and reinforce Kenya's position as a gateway to Pan-African trade.
Cannot trade without our infrastructure being well positioned. We need our seaports, we need our dry ports, we need our railways, and we need our roads to open up so that our logistics can flow across, just like the ambassador did talk about.
Kenya is the 6th largest economy, currently stands at 17 trillion Kenya shillings, 136 billion Kenya shillings. No, US dollars, sorry. And Kenya is a hub for East and Central Africa. We have the most developed port, that is Mombasa Port, Lamu Port, the airports, the railway, that is almost now going into Uganda. And we're happy that Uganda is developing one and is able to connect East and Central Africa. So we welcome our partners from other African countries and also from international countries to be able to partner with us.
Continues to place economic diplomacy at the heart of its foreign policy. As the global economic landscape evolves, our diplomatic engagements increasingly focuses on expanding trade opportunities, attracting quality investment, promoting tourism, facilitating technology transfer, and supporting Kenyan businesses seeking access to international markets.
Elsewhere, Standard Chartered Kenya has increased its sustainable finance assets by 11% to 62.5 billion Kenya shillings, according to its 2025 Sustainability Progress Report, as demand for climate and inclusive finance solutions continues to grow. The lender also reported a 16% increase in sustainable finance revenue to 3.5 billion Kenya shillings. The report highlights lower operational carbon emissions, growth in its digital money market fund, and expanded youth economic empowerment and entrepreneurship programs across Kenya.
Kenya has continued to improve its regulatory framework. Now, be it the Kenya Green Taxonomy, the Climate Risk Disclosures Framework that's been launched by Central Bank of Kenya, it's becoming more and more important that there's transparency and there's auditability around work being done in sustainable finance.
We have engaged over 55,000 young people, and that is since 2019 when we
when the foundation was established. Out of this, we have seen over 500 people get into decent jobs. And when you talk about decent jobs, we are looking at a job that is well-paying and a job that a young person has been able to maintain for over 6 months. In terms of women empowerment, and that is young women, we've engaged about 88% of these 55,000 is actually young women.
A new integrated digital classroom solution has been launched in Kenya to support the country's digital learning agenda by enabling connected, secure, and collaborative teaching environments. The platform combines classroom management software, learner devices, and interactive displays to improve lesson delivery, manage digital learning devices, and enhance classroom engagement. It is designed for deployment across primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions as investments in technology-enabled education continues to grow.
This screen features a 4K AI-assisted camera and 8 internal microphones that actually transcribe the lesson as the teacher speaks. So, when the bell rings, boom, an instant timestamp summary is ready to share with all students who might need a little extra time to review.
The people in this room are the accelerators of that future, because some of the decisions you make in the institutions you work for, the organizations you represent, are going to shape that future for so many other learners nationwide.
A new prepaid payment solution has been introduced in Kenya to help consumers better manage grocery spending through budgeting tools and controlled household purchases. The reloadable card allows users to allocate funds for essential shopping, monitor spending, and access rewards while supporting cashless transactions. It also enables cross-border family support by allowing funds to be loaded using bank cards issued in different countries, reflecting the growing demand for digital payment solutions.
Your card from anywhere in the world to top up the Carrefour KCB prepaid card and then use it at Carrefour, meaning that there is direct debit of a card globally, and then the amount comes into the Carrefour card and then you can use it here. That's a unique feature.
We know the expenses and the daily expenditures are very important, and the opportunity for KCB and MasterCard to come together, create a product that is has all our strengths. Carrefour's branch network, MasterCard's universal availability, and the KCB team connectivity in terms of technology is really something that we're proud of.
It's time for some sport in action. Kenya's national women's football team, the Harambee Starlets, will be chasing their first ever victory at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations when they take on Senegal tonight in what promises to be a thrilling encounter. The Beldino Demba coached side heads into the match after suffering a 4-0 defeat to host Morocco in their opening fixture. They will be looking to bounce back against the Lionesses of Teranga, who also began their campaign with a 2-0 loss to Algeria.
Played Algeria 2 games, so that's another game for another day. But for Senegal, like the coach has said, we are prepared mentally, more confidence, and not forgetting tactically we must be very smart considering that they are a physical side.
We must improve on capitalizing on our chances. We got 2 clear chances in the beginning of the game. If we had capitalized on the chances, it would have been a different match. They're a physical side, so I can say that their physicality is what they have. They run, they are well built, and they use that as their advantage. So we already understand what they're bringing, and we are looking forward for a good game.
Acadio's Motorsport team principal, Timothy Kinoti, says his upgraded Toyota Run X is ready for this weekend's Kenya National Rally Championship round in Stony Athi at the river. Kinoti says the team has faced delays in the supply of parts and rising cost linked to the Iran conflict, but remains optimistic under the new Motorsport Federation. He says the team's priority is to finish the rally safely, bring the car home intact, and prepare for the remaining Kenya National Rally Championship rounds.
as Arcadios Motorsport, what we want to see is to test our Toyota Run-X back. And we've been sitting out for a while now, busy rebuilding the car, and also waiting for, things to shape up so that we get into a proper, competition. This is a very big event because this is the first time we are having a competition, proper, a safari competition under our new federation. And, we're expecting to see great things. We're expecting to see a new championship that is going to be a very good season for us as
Kenya's top boxers are currently in action at the highly anticipated Kiambu Fight Night, an event featuring some of the country's finest fighters alongside international talent. Our sports reporter Boniface Kimanzi is at the venue with all the action. Kimanzi, what's the atmosphere like from Kiambu County?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my friend Peter Kamau, and we're getting you live here from Kiambu, and of course here we have the top boxers, of course, who are participating in this bout, and of course here we have seen competition. We have seen young boxers who are rising and they are trying to show the entire world what is boxing, and of course I have several boxers here. You can see around me what they're doing. Karibu sana ndugu, tuambie imekuaje, tuambie kwanza wewe unatarajia nini siku leo?
My name is Geoffrey Nyamu.
Yes.
Natarajia ushindi ambapo boti yangu ni inaingia next boti ya 5 na niko proud na niko tayari kwa michuano.
Labda unaweza tuambie siku leo umeona vile boxer wengine wamefanya, wewe sasa utakuwa unafanya nini tofauti ambacho itakuonyesha upate ushindi?
Mimi naachia Mwenyezi Mungu, ambapo kuna vitu ambavyo kwamba haitaki wewe binafsi. Manake ni vita pia, na vita pia unaachia Mungu. Hapo mbele mazoezi ndio ilikuwa kitu ya muhimu. As long as umejituma, mambo itakuwa rahisi hapo mbele.
Labda unaweza tuambia umeona boxer wengine pale mashinani hawajapata nafasi kama hii. Unaambia nini wale vijana ambao pia hawajapata nafasi kama hii ya kufanya boxing kwa national ama international stages?
Mimi naweza shawishi vijana wenzangu wajitume, ambapo career ndio kila kitu, na the more unajituma haujui kesho yako. Ile sweat unatoa hiyo kesho Mungu atakulipa. Ni wewe ujitume, na Kenya inaweza washawishi pia maboys tuache miadarati, tujitume, na e-sport pia inataka roho. Inataka uwe na ujasiri fulani, ambapo pia mazoezi ni ngumu, lazima uwe na bidii. Alafu pengine unaachia Mungu, mambo itakuwa inshallah.
All the best.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much, and of course we have seen this is one of the boxers, and of course it's going to take place in the next bout, and of course here I have Alfayo. Alfayo, I can see you are ready for tonight, and of course you want to win tonight. What do you expect from you tonight?
I'm expecting a KO. Leo ni KO.
Labda tuambie umejitayarisha kivipi kwenye mashindano leo?
Mimi nimejitayarisha, mimi niko fiti, niko ready. Naongoza tu opponent. Opponent pia nimesikia ashafika. Mimi niko ready. Sio nataka nikuom. Ready nishaom.
Labda pia utuambie yani wewe mazoezi imekuaje kwanza, mazoezi imekuaje pale kwa training ukijitayarisha kwenye boat ya leo?
Mimi nimejitayarisha, zoezi imekuwa fiti, kila kitu imekuwa fiti, maandalizi, nutrition, usingizi na rest, kila kitu imekuwa fiti.
Labda kuna vijana wajapata nafasi kama hii ya kuingia kwenye boat, unawaambia nini pale mashinani wako Nakuru, Mombasa, Eldoret?
Mimi nazaambia tu vijana wajitume because you never know. Inaweza kuwa unapiga sling yako pale, labda wewe ni makanga, labda unapiga job kwa site. Yani kwa ile job yote unafanya, usijinyime. Hiyo time kidogo unapata, piga zoezi, toka kwa drugs, piga zoezi. Unashika because you never know. Unaweza pata luck ukaingia kwa ring, ukapata vitu zimechange, unaona? Juu kwa boxing hatunanga loser. Unaona? Once umeingia pale ni champion.
Alpha, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Of course, you can see that is Alfayo, and of course Alfayo has been one of the best boxers we have in the country, and he has been making sure that any bout that we are having, he has been participating, and tonight you can see he is ready and he's saying that he's going to get win. And of course I have a Somali boxer here. Somali boxer, you welcome. This is TV47. Of course, imekuaje mazoezi pale? Imekuaje mazoezi?
Hii game nilikuwa nimeprepare na sasa hii I'm ready. Tuone matokeo.
Tutarajia nini siku ya leo?
Hii game wacha nione vile game itaenda, na alafu I'm trying my best.
All the best.
Yeah, asante
sana. Of course, you have heard my good friend Peter. These are boxers, and of course they are ready for tonight. And of course we have seen some of the boxers getting their wins and others losing. But of course the aim of this Kiambu Fight Night is to make sure that the young boxers, the upcoming boxers who are in different parts of the country, they have been given this opportunity, because the likes of Mike Tyson, the likes of other boxers in the entire world, they did not start from the top, but they started from below, and now they are shining in the global stage. Back to you, Peter Kamau, Boniface Kimanzi, here at Kiambu Town for the Kiambu Fight Night.
Oh, thank you very much, Boniface Kimanzi. Now, earlier today, Boniface Kimanzi mentioned to me that he used to be a boxer. I honestly don't know how true that is. We'll find out from him later on. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to TV47 Prime. That's all we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for your company. My name is Peter Kamau. Our sign interpreter is Catherine Simaloy. From all of us here, have yourself a pleasant night.